We are not rich, but we are comfortable in our lower middle class way. My birthday was this weekend, and while I don't expect much, I am wondering if I have done something wrong here. My husband gave me a loofah poof flash slash sponge from the dollar store and a chocolate bar from the dollar store for my birthday. Now, my kids took their own money out and bought me some chocolate too, and they on their own made me some cute cards just before my birthday dinner. Dinner was made by my eldest. I took him shopping on my birthday for the couple of ingredients we needed. Now, I'm not upset he didn't spend a lot of money, but the effort and thought was zero. I had said I needed to buy a new one for the shower, and my old one was hanging unraveled on the hook in the shower the week before my birthday. For our anniversary, I bought my husband a few small gifts, a particular item for him that had features he was really excited about for our vacation. I also bought him a few other small items I knew he would enjoy. I spent probably about $50 in total, but I also created a whole scavenger hunt through the house with clues based on things he says and family jokes. He had a ball completing the scavenger hunt and spoke about it for weeks. Then for his birthday, a couple of months later, I bought him another item I know he would enjoy, but spent about $50 again. Included in the $50, I bought about 10 items from the dollar store and turned them into a game during his birthday dinner with me and the kids. Each of us closed our eyes and picked out an item, and then had to explain why this was a perfect gift for him, or create a birthday blessing based on the item. For example, one was a pack of highlighters, and one of my kids said he should be blessed with brightness in his life, and his life should be filled with highlights, and only good things. It turned out to be a beautiful activity. He loved it, and my kids asked to make it a regular thing for all our birthdays. So here I am with low expectations from past birthdays, but this one was the worst. He made no efforts for anything, not even a massage or a card, not even an e-card. So I am pissed off. I don't expect him to be as creative as I am. I don't need fancy things. But seriously, I was so embarrassed in front of my kids, and even more when family asked if I got anything for my birthday. Then I realized I have nothing to be embarrassed about. He doesn't think he did anything wrong and doesn't see why I'm annoyed. He said it is the thought that counts, but that is exactly my point. It feels like no thought. I don't want to talk to him or even look at him anymore over this. Am I overreacting? So does "it's the thought that counts" mean if I've done something wrong? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. He could have gotten you some flowers. He could have planned a DIY fancy dinner with jazzy music and candles. He could have set up a cute picnic. He could make a cute card out of some scrap paper or leave you meaningful notes around the house. When my partner and I were broke as hell, these are super cheap, free, but thoughtful gifts, and we still do things like this even though we have more money now because it's the thought that counts. A little effort is free of charge. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Early on in our relationship, my husband and I had quite a few birthdays where we financially struggled hard, but we always made sure that there were at least some small personal gifts that had meaning, even if it was just a sweet card or a promise for a later birthday. Even when we didn't have a lot, we never let one another feel unappreciated. Your husband's an idiot for this. And saying that it's the thought that counts is downright lazy. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since I posted about my disappointing birthday, and wow, things have taken some turns. I thought I'd give you all an update because honestly, I need to vent. So after my last post, I decided to confront my husband about how I felt. I told him that while I didn't need expensive gifts, I did need to feel valued and loved. I reminded him of the effort I put into his birthdays and our anniversary. He listened, but his reaction was not what I expected. He got defensive and said that he didn't realize I needed him to put on a show for my birthday. That stung. I wasn't asking for a show, just some thoughtfulness. The next day, he came home from work with flowers and an apology. It was a nice gesture, but it felt like too little, too late. I thanked him, but inside, I was still hurt. I thought we were making progress. But then I found out something that made the flowers feel like a slap in the face. I was cleaning up our home office when I stumbled upon a receipt. It was for a necklace, a pretty expensive one, and it was dated a week before my birthday. My heart raced as I thought it might be a belated surprise, but then I remembered he hadn't given me a necklace. I confronted him about it, and after some hesitation, he admitted it was for a coworker who was leaving the company. He said he'd chipped in with a few others to buy it. I wanted to believe him, but something didn't sit right with me. A few days later, I was picking up our youngest from soccer practice when I saw the same coworker. She was wearing the necklace. I felt sick. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I checked his phone while he was in the shower. I know, it's a breach of trust, but my gut was telling me something was off. And there it was, a text from her thanking him for the necklace and saying she'd miss him terribly. My heart broke right there. I confronted him again, this time with the evidence. He couldn't deny it. He admitted that they'd gotten close, but he swore it was never physical. He said he bought the necklace because he felt bad she was leaving, and he'd gotten caught up in the moment. He begged for my forgiveness, saying it was a stupid mistake. I was devastated, not just because of the necklace, but because our relationship had come to this. I thought about our kids, our life together, and how he could risk it all for a moment. I told him I needed time to think. The kids could sense the tension. I tried to keep things normal for them, but it was hard. They kept asking why Mommy and Daddy weren't talking much. It broke my heart to see them so confused. In the midst of all this, my eldest had a school project that we worked on together. It was a family tree, and as we went through photos and stories of our relatives, it reminded me of the love that built our family. It was bittersweet, thinking about how that love was being tested now. My husband has been trying to make amends. He's been more attentive, helping more with the kids, and trying to plan date nights. But every time I look at him, I see the necklace and the text. I'm struggling to move past it. Just yesterday, we had a huge argument. He said he felt like he was walking on eggshells, and that I needed to forgive him if we were going to move forward. I lost it. I told him forgiveness isn't just given, it's earned. And right now, I didn't know if he deserved it. So here we are, 2 weeks later, and I'm still not sure where we stand. I love him, but I don't know if that's enough anymore. The trust that took years to build feels shattered in just a couple of weeks. I'm trying to figure out what's best for me and the kids. But it's hard. I never thought I'd be in this position, questioning my marriage over a birthday gift, or lack thereof. But it's not just about the gift, it's about what it represented. And now, with everything that's come to light, I'm left wondering if we can find our way back to each other, or if this is the beginning of the end. I inherit Grandma's house, and uncles accuse me of manipulation. But after I win and turn it into Airbnb, Uncle breaks in and gets arrested. Now I find Will's secret clause and go after his share. I inherited my grandmother's family house. At the age of 16-year-old, my mother passed away, my father passed away before I was born, and I went to live with my paternal grandmother, who, despite us not being close, welcomed me in a wonderful way. She was a tough person on the outside, but soft on the inside, who supported me at every moment of my life, and defended me tooth and nail when I told her and my family that I was gay. When she suffered a stroke and needed care, I left college and work to become her caregiver, and that was until her final days. When the inheritance part came, my grandmother being a powerful lawyer in the city and having a lot of money, my uncle's aunts, who had never been so interested in being close to her, suddenly became interested. The will left no room for any dispute. I inherited the house and additional money that would be equivalent to $200,000 of her inheritance, and my uncles each got 10%. There was a long legal battle, which they tried everything to contest, and I heard horrible things from everyone, including that I took advantage of her fragility and that I wasn't worthy because I was a F. They didn't get anything, and we didn't talk anymore. With the money, I renovated the house, and because I no longer live in the city, I turned it into a beautiful, popular Airbnb in the city. Recently, my uncle sent a message saying that he and his family were living in the car because they couldn't afford it, and asked if I could let him live at his mother's house for a few weeks until he recovered, and even proposed to make a contract that he would leave in X days. I didn't want to respond, but after a few hours, he started calling me from different phones to talk, and I honestly lost my patience. I simply sent him the Airbnb link with the message, "This is what I can offer. Bye." He started to insult me, saying that it was clear that he couldn't afford to rent at that price, and was asking to live in his mother's house. And I was extorting from him by taking advantage of the inheritance I received, plus being cruel and heartless to have sent the link and not responded properly. My boyfriend said I'm right because my uncle was the one who said the hardest things to me in court, but I feel bad knowing that my young cousins are not to blame. 2 children. No chance of them breaking into the house. And I really don't know how he's broke with the money he received, to be honest. Am I the idiot? A few points. Although it is not my income, the money I receive from renting Airbnb gives me more comfort during the month, without having to worry so much about bills and going weeks without renting, with someone using it for free. Yes, I would lose a significant amount of money per month, and my uncle proposed to live for free, but leave at a set time. The amount he received was enough to change his life. My aunt, for example, bought land and built a beautiful house from scratch with that money. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You owe him nothing. He does nothing but insult you and files a baseless lawsuit. I get that you feel sorry for his kids. I feel sorry for them too, that they're stuck with such an awful father. 1. Don't let him into your B&B for any reason. He'll trash it. And then what? You can't recover money from someone without any. 2. You have a large family. It's telling that nobody else in the family is interested in helping him. 3. Likely, the cousin's mother's family would be willing to help, all but uncle. They may even have offered. Uncle wouldn't mention it because it's not the deal he wants. Comment 2. Not the idiot. No mercy on him. It's his responsibility to take care of his kids. When his kids grow up and you offer an olive branch to them, they will easily be able to recognize the type of man that their father is. Don't entertain people that only come by when they need something and treat you terribly when they don't. Now, for the update. 3 days ago, I got a message from my uncle begging to stay at my grandmother's house, which I inherited and turned into an Airbnb. He claimed he and his family were living out of their car. I didn't want to deal with him after everything that happened, so I sent him the Airbnb link and told him that's all I could offer. He flipped out, calling me heartless and cruel. My boyfriend thinks I did the right thing, but I can't help feeling bad for my young cousins. It's been a wild few days since then, and you won't believe what's happened. First off, let me give you some context about my uncle. He's always been the flashy type, spending money like there's no tomorrow. After the inheritance, he bought a fancy car and took luxury vacations. No wonder he's broke now. My aunt, on the other hand, was smart with her share. She bought land and built a house. It's like they lived in two different worlds with the same amount of money. Anyway, back to the update. The day after I sent the Airbnb link, my uncle showed up at the house with his family. I was there doing some maintenance. He must have thought he could sway me in person. He had the nerve to knock on the door, his wife and kids looking all sad behind him. I was shocked, but stood my ground. I told him they couldn't stay. He got angry, saying I owed it to family. I reminded him of the court battles and the hurtful things he said. It was tense, and I was worried it might get physical, but eventually they left. That night, I got a call from my aunt, the one who built her house. She had heard about what happened and was furious with my uncle. She offered to take in his family, but she said he needed to learn his lesson and couldn't stay with her. I was relieved someone was looking out for the kids, but I couldn't believe she was turning her back on her own brother. The next day, things got even crazier. I found out my uncle had tried to break into the house. A neighbor saw him messing with the lock and called the police. He was arrested, and now he's facing charges. I couldn't believe it. He was desperate, but to try and break in, that was a new low. I went to see him at the police station, not sure why. Maybe I felt guilty, maybe I just needed closure. He was a mess, crying and apologizing. He said he didn't know what else to do. I didn't forgive him, but I told him I'd think about what I could do for the kids. Now, here's the jaw-dropping twist. When I got home from the police station, I found a letter in my mailbox. It was from my grandmother's lawyer, dated a few years back. It turns out there was a secret clause in her will. If any of her children or their descendants acted against her final wishes or caused harm to the inheritor, their inheritance would be voided and returned to the estate. I was floored. My uncle's actions, the court battles, the attempted break-in, it all meant he had forfeited his inheritance. I called the lawyer and he confirmed it. We're starting the legal process to get the money back. It's going to be a long road, but it looks like I might end up with more than I thought. As for my uncle, he's lost everything. His family is staying with my aunt, and he's got a legal battle ahead of him. My BF insists we go to Mardi Gras despite my pregnancy complications, so I go, and he won't let me sit, but after I leave him, he fixes his ways and begs for forgiveness. I, female, 23 years old, am 6 months pregnant with my boyfriend, male, 26 years old, and my first baby. I have had a few complications, and I am now on a blood pressure pill, which has made me more exhausted than usual. During Mardi Gras season, my boyfriend and I have been attending parades with friends for the past month. I recently had a talk with my boyfriend and told him that I needed a break from parades, because it was taking a pretty heavy toll on me. I was in a lot of physical pain from all the walking and ended up catching infection 19 and had to quarantine. Mardi Gras weekend was this past weekend, and my boyfriend asked me if I would go to parades with him. I agreed to one because I have a friend that lives on the parade route and allowed us to watch the parade at her house. He still wanted to go to parades for the rest of the weekend though, and told me that if I didn't go, then he wouldn't be able to go since his car isn't safe to drive in the city, and he wanted to drink. After some convincing, I agreed only if we bring chairs for me to sit in. On the day of the parade, I went to pack both chairs, but he told me to only pack one since he'd be standing most of the time. We were rushing out of the house and ended up getting to the parade later than we planned, so we had to park further away from where we were meeting friends. Ultimately, we ended up walking 11 blocks to meet them. Halfway through the walk, I had to use the restroom and couldn't hold it anymore. My boyfriend was upset with me because we were already running late, and for the rest of the walk, gave me the silent treatment. When we finally got to the spot, I was completely out of breath, overheated, and my feet were on fire. He set up our chair and then sat down in it. I asked him if I could sit down, and he told me to just give him a minute. I was almost in tears at this point and visibly upset, so this kind stranger, who was set up a little bit further down the route, ended up asking if I wanted to use one of his seats. I thanked him, and we had a nice but short conversation about my pregnancy. Once we got home, I had a conversation with my boyfriend about how I felt that he didn't care that I was pregnant and should have given up the seat for me. I also said that it was sad that a stranger had to give up his seat for a woman he didn't know, but it shows that it's common courtesy to do so for pregnant women. He told me that he made the same walk as me, and his feet also hurt, and that the man didn't even know that I was pregnant. I then lashed out and called him selfish and a horrible boyfriend. After I said that, his entire mood changed, and we had a very long talk about how his medication has changed the way he feels about other people, and that I need to loosen up and stop being so harsh on him. I'm worried that I was too harsh on him by calling him selfish, and that I'm expecting too much special treatment because I'm pregnant. I don't know how I feel about this. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm going to be honest and say I mostly skimmed this, not the jerk. Pregnant women get to sit down. He should be taking care of you. If he thought he'd need to sit down, he should have brought a chair, but he told you not to bring it. Sure, you're not helpless, you're just pregnant. But you've been doing so much for him, the minute he can do is let the mother of his unborn child sit down. He's not chivalrous at all, and that's a bit concerning considering you're about to have a child with him. Comment 2. Your boyfriend is a jerk. Your requests are not in any way inappropriate, and you should think long and hard about how he treats you before complicating your life with this man even further. Pregnancy is one time in your life when everyone around you should be giving you extra consideration. If the father of this child can't do that, then you're better off without him, in my opinion. Good luck. Not the jerk. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since my last post, and boy, do I have an update for you. You might remember the story about my boyfriend and the Mardi Gras parade debacle. Well, things have taken some turns, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. First off, let me give you a bit of history about my boyfriend and me. We've been together for 3 years, and it's been a pretty solid relationship up until recently. He's always been the life of the party, and I knew that when I met him at a friend's birthday bash. He was the guy with the loudest laugh, the one who could mix a mean cocktail and had a knack for making everyone feel included. I fell for that charm, and for a long time, it was great. But since I got pregnant, things have been different. He's been on this new medication for his anxiety, which he says makes him feel numb to other people's needs. I've tried to be understanding, but it's been tough, especially with my own health issues. I'm on blood pressure pills, and they leave me exhausted. I've been trying to keep up with his social life, but it's been a struggle. Now, for the juicy stuff. After our last argument, things seemed to calm down a bit. He apologized for taking the chair and promised to be more considerate. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But then, just last weekend, he decided to throw a surprise baby shower for me. Sounds sweet, right? Wrong. He planned the whole thing at a friend's house. The same friend who lives on the parade route. I thought it was a nice gesture until I found out he'd invited his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, the one he always told me was just a friend, but who I always had a weird feeling about. They dated for a while before he met me, and she's the kind of girl who always needs to be the center of attention. So there I was, at my own baby shower, watching my boyfriend's ex flirt with him like I wasn't even there. And the worst part, he was flirting back. I felt like I was invisible, just some incubator for his child while he played bachelor with his ex. I was fuming, but I held it in because I didn't want to cause a scene. But wait, it gets better. After the party, I found out that he'd been messaging her behind my back. Nothing too scandalous, but enough to make my blood boil. He was complaining to her about how demanding I've been since getting pregnant. Can you believe that? I confronted him about it, and we had a huge fight. He accused me of being paranoid and controlling, and I called him out for being disrespectful and insensitive. It was a mess. I ended up leaving and staying with my sister for a few days to clear my head. Now, here's where karma comes into play, in the most unexpected way. Remember the kind stranger from the parade who offered me his chair? Turns out, he's a mutual friend of my sister and her husband. He heard about the whole situation and offered to help me out. He's a mechanic, and he fixed up my boyfriend's car for free, saying it was a baby gift. When my boyfriend found out, he was shocked. He couldn't believe that someone he barely knew would do something so nice for us, especially after how he'd been acting. It was like a light bulb went off in his head. He came over to my sister's place, car fixed and all, and apologized. He said he realized how much of a jerk he'd been, and that he took me for granted. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.